So there have been other creators who've done this and probably done a far better job than I'm about to, but I'll give it my best shot, okay? One thing you really have to understand, and I don't speak Hebrew, so I'm taking this on faith from experts, okay? According to the Hebrew in the Bible, the original books that were included in the Hebrew teachings, right? The Hebrew used in the book of Genesis to talk about God is Elohim. Elohim is plural. It's not one. The singular God would be El. Elohim was used to refer to all the gods, okay? And this is important, I'm getting there. In the book of Genesis, it is not one God that creates the universe. It is many gods. I know. Because the Hebrew tradition rose out of polytheism. They were surrounded on all sides by people who worshipped multiple gods. There's a great scene about the Baal worshipers in the Bible. There's like a standoff between God's prophet and the Baal worshipers. And it was like a showdown. Why? To prove that one God was better than the other. Notice in the Ten Commandments, the Lord your God, and revere him above all others. Why would they mention other gods? Because there was multiple gods in the tradition around them. But the Hebrews were talking about separating themselves off from that cultural group by worshiping that one God. It's what made them Jewish. So, that's our backstory. The Christian God is a jealous God. You've probably heard Christians say that. They try to reinvent what jealousy means. No, he's a jealous God for a reason. It's a pattern. If you read the Old Testament, you will see that it is a study in one emotionally fragile individual attempting to assert himself over all others. Dominance. And to do that, he asks ridiculous fucking things of his followers, including attempting to murder their own kids, right? Just bring your kid up here to this mountain and kill him for me. I know you like the kid, but I'm your God and all. So, of course, he does it. He brings his kid up. He's going to kill him. And then God says, I was just kidding. I would never make you do that. It's almost like an abusive person trying to see how far you'll go. If your God can't handle other gods existing, you are creating in that character somebody whose psychology will naturally tend towards narcissistic patterns. A jealous God. He's out here hurting people to get what he wants. Notice when Moses interacts with the Egyptian Pharaoh, which, by the way, we have no historical evidence of. We don't know that Moses ever actually existed, or that any of that ever happened. We have no proof of this, okay? It's all biblical. Right. Okay, so when he interacts with the Pharaoh, there's this part in there where you feel like maybe he's making some headway, right? This is his friend. He's known this guy for his whole life. He's talking to the Pharaoh. The two of them are chatting. You feel like he's making some headway, but then there's this one line in the Bible that just comes out of nowhere. God hardened the Pharaoh's heart. God made it so the Pharaoh couldn't see reason. Why? So that he could punish them. That's when the plagues of Egypt begin. The Pharaoh decides not to follow what he knows to be true based on his conversations with Moses. He decides instead to mistreat the Hebrews. And that leads to the plagues of Egypt. God literally made it so that he could abuse people. You got more. There's more. There's always more. There's making Hebrews wander the desert for 40 years. Why would you do that? Because they got bored and built a golden calf? You jealous motherfucker? See the abuse happening? Okay. In the Bible, we've got the book of Job. Go look at the book of Job. It is the oldest book in the Bible. We know this through archaeological stuff. And in the book of Job, you see the devil and God just chilling in heaven. I didn't know they could do that. They can. The devil chilling with God, and God is up here with his angels bragging. He's bragging about how awesome Job loves him. Job is his dude. Job is always going to have his back. And the devil says, I don't think that's true. I think the only reason that Job has your back is because you give him stuff. I think if you were to take that stuff away from him, he would have a different view of you. And God says, fine, we'll make a bet. And he says, go ahead and abuse Job. Go ahead and mistreat my follower. Take everything from him, destroy his life. He does. He does. The devil gives him leprosy, takes his family from him, etc., etc., kills everybody he knows, ruins his businesses, etc., just to see if he will collapse, if he will say, why have you forsaken me, God? Right? So what does God do? God lets it get to the point where Job is nearly dead, and then he comes and he says, you were so nice to keep worshiping me. You've gone through all this hell to keep worshiping me. You know what, Job? I feel bad for you, man. Let me give you back what you lost. Except it's not what he lost, nor does it erase the trauma he went through while losing it. Do you see the abuse? Yeah. Not to mention the fact that all the strictures laid on behavior. You can't eat this. You can't wear these clothes. You can't do this. You can't do that, right? All those rules. Where do they come from and what are they for? No explanation given. None whatsoever. Just the assertion that you will obey. These are the rules I've set. You will obey them. Why? Did you give us a reason? No. Did you try to, parent us by saying this is why we're doing? No, you didn't do any of that. All you care about is being worshipped and loved. That's it. That's it. Whatever you got to do to make it happen. That's the Christian God. There are so many biblical examples of God doing the thing that you would assume a narcissist would do. Doing the thing. And it makes sense because the character of God is a jealous God. He is a narcissist by default. He wants to be worshipped. End of discussion. Humans know what that psychology looks like. So when they're writing the story, they input the psychology without even knowing it, because they didn't have psychology back then. They were picking up on cues they didn't realize they were picking up on. But they put it into the character. The character's behavior is identically that of somebody who would be a jealous lover. Same kind of thing. I want you to notice that he implants his child, Jesus, into an unassuming teenage girl who isn't married. He could have picked anyone. He could have picked anyone. He could have chosen anyone. He chooses a girl who has no husband, who is alone in this world, and he implants his baby into her and forces her to deal with the consequences, including patching up her life by marrying Joseph. Yes, she was spoken to by an angel, but was she asked for consent? No, she was not. She was told what would happen to her. You can keep picking it apart all day long. You're going to keep finding examples of how God's behavior is identically that of an abusive partner, a narcissistic, abusive partner, someone who wants to be worshipped, malignancy. It's very easy, if we study psychology and we've spent any time looking at it, it is now very easy for us to look at the behavior of God in the Bible and say, that is a destructive paradigm. And I can understand now why all the people associated with this paradigm did the things they did. How could they preach love and acceptance while also being colonizers? That's how. Jesus may have been a nice guy, but God is a jealous God.